It's you, the audience, who drives our agenda. We tell the stories that inform you, the stories that are important to you, and the stories that are about you. We are not every news channel. We are Arise News.
I can't believe it's been 10 years already, but in that very short time, Arise News has covered some of the biggest global events around the world, and I'm fortunate to say that I've been involved in a number of them, including, of course, the insurrection that took place right behind me at this building that brought America to its knees. But in addition to that, we've also covered some of the biggest stories, including the transitions of U.S. presidents, as well as other massive major global events that have occurred around the world. And we've done them right here at Arise News. And I'm so happy to say that I've been a part of them. And I look forward to being a part of Arise News, its growth, its change, and of course, its coverage over the next 10 years.
Good morning. You are watching The Morning Show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati.
I'm Ayom Mairo Ese.
And I'm Rufai Senior. We've got a great show lined up for you over the next 3 hours. So sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day because The Morning Show begins right now.
As democracy and society continue to evolve, the judiciary has had increasing intervention in the political arena of Nigeria. There is perhaps no better illustration of this than the recent judgment of the Supreme Court, which ruled in favor of Nigeria's Senate President Ahmad Lawan as the candidate of the All Progressives Congress of Yobe North Senatorial District, against the earlier proclamations of the Federal High Court and Appeal Court, which ruled in favor of Bashir Sharif Machina. In the interval between the last general election and the imminent 2023 polls, the Electoral Act, a major legislation at the heart of Nigeria's electoral jurisprudence, has been amended with some radical innovations, some of which have not received juridical introspection. Incidentally, the Nigerian political clock has had its full orbit, and we're again on the cusp of another general election this February. The question is, what does this mean for the judiciary and Nigeria's political process? Joining us later on this show is Mikey Guinea, former Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging Dr. Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council, on his recent proclamation that the ruling All Progressives Congress is suffering from a condition called anthophobia, the fear of voter backlash for poor governance and mismanagement of the country's security and common prosperity. Also joining us later on the show is Honorable Musa Sakin Ada, a seasoned politician and National Assembly member representing Gada Goronyo Federal Constituency of Sokoto State. He's also the chairman, House Committee on Petroleum Upstream, and we'll be discussing the fuel scarcity crisis and Naira redesign scarcity in the country.
Let's catch up on news making headlines across the globe. Rod Sodiri gives us updates on Africa business activities across the continent. We'll also review today's newspaper with Rise News analyst Emmanuel Afeni. Olaji Okwe will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. Welcome back to The Morning Show right here on the Rise News channel. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. As concerns continue to mount over the scarcity of the Naira, President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday met with the chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum and Governor of Sokoto State Aminu Tambuwal and the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Kebbi State Governor Alhaji Abubakar Bagudu at the State House Abuja. The meeting, at the instance of the president, was also attended by the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Emefiele, and the chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdurrashid Bawa. This was just as Emefiele assured that the Apex Bank would not allow itself to be used or seen as an agent to frustrate forthcoming polls. Also yesterday, the federal government flagged the opposition parties for turning the Naira redesign issue into a political blame game. Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, gave the condemnation yesterday in Abuja at the PMB scorecard series in the 2015 to 2023 amidst hardship that the fuel scarcity has trailed supply disruption and the recent Naira scarcity. A lot to talk about as regards these issues.
Yes, a lot to talk about, limited time, so I'll just go straight into it with regards to the impact of the Naira redesign policy. Perhaps just talking about the scarcity of the Naira, not in truth the policy in itself, as we've talked about the fact that a number of people have looked at the merits of the policy, but the issue on ground is the scarcity of the Naira. Now, yesterday, some young people, mainly young people in Abeokuta and some parts of the country had laid siege on some banks and gone quite violent in protest of the scarcity and the hardship, the constant hardship on Nigerians. Another aspect to look at this with regards to the news that Rufai has just mentioned is the politicizing of this policy. Unfortunately, this has now become the center stage, has taken center stage and become the conversation where there have been accusations and counter-accusations from political parties. The danger here is that politicians must take responsibility that we are managing. It's a very critical and delicate time in the political architecture of the nation. And in so doing, we must be mindful of the words that we use and the accusations that are made, especially without proof or that seem a bit self-serving. This is because yesterday, a young person was shot in Abeokuta. According to reports thus far, he's been taken to hospital, but we don't know the outcome. There are lives at stake. There are people who are worried, and the lack of trust of Nigerians, unfortunately, in the federal government is making the situation quite worse. Politicians must begin to look beyond their personal interest and instead think about what is good for this nation, this economy, and the people of Nigeria. I must mention that and just to round off here to say that whilst the president has called the governors as PGF, the Progressive Governors Forum, and the Nigerian Governors Forum to have conversations around this, I want to talk about the impact on the elections. Unfortunately, it has been said that this redesigned policy has nothing to do with, it's not targeted at any politician, political party, or person. But because of the timing of it, we cannot but link it to election, which the first in terms of the presidency and the National Assembly is on the 25th of February. What the governor of the Central Bank said and assured Nigerians yesterday was that they were not in any way going to scuttle the success of the elections. They were going to provide INEC with the resources required, including notes, as well as movement and transportation of sensitive materials during the election period. Also, the security agencies led by, speaking then, the National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, spoke about and assured Nigerians that they were going to secure lives and properties in the season. I think this is a message that must be topmost, because we've heard of stories around, Scotland and the like. So this is very important for Nigerians to hear assurances by our leaders that elections will take place and nothing should jeopardize this.
Well, yesterday, the president was supposed to meet with governors. He had met 4 governors of the APC, previously, at the end of which meeting he promised that he should be given 4 days to come up with, a position on the request for the extension of the deadline for the, old Naira notes. Now, that 7 days will expire by February 10. But he couldn't meet with the larger, community of governors yesterday. That meeting was cancelled. And the reason that has been given is because there are 2 cases in court. The case taken by the APC governors of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara to court, and also the case instituted by 4 political parties, which led to the Court of Justice Eneche granting an interim injunction against the federal government of Nigeria from tampering with the deadline as it is until the matter, the substantive suit, and the motion on notice are determined. So you will say that on the surface of it, the president didn't want to engage in anything that would be just sub judice. Hence, a smaller meeting was held, which involved all the persons that have been mentioned. Basically, NSA, DJ, DSS, Chairman EFCC, Chairman Progressive Governors Forum, Chairman Governors Forum, and all of that. But nobody knows the details of what was decided at that meeting because there was no briefing at the end of the day. But we can imagine that, what must concern the president will be the state of the nation at this moment. There is fuel scarcity. There is scarcity of new Naira notes. Riots have been reported from Edo State to Akwa Ibom State. Yesterday, Ogun State in Abeokuta, imminent threat of violence in Kwara State. The Trade Union Congress also threatening, to go on strike, to call out, workers if nothing is done. Stories of agony, anguish, suffering, pain in different parts of the country. So this is where we are. So bad that, in fact, people now sleep in front of ATM machines, hoping that money will drop miraculously. Now, bankers now jump the fence to run away. Some banks, in fact, have refused to open their doors. Yesterday, I called a bank. I said I will send somebody. By the time I got there, the boy said there was nobody in the place. They had fled. This was before 2 p.m. So this is the problem that we have found ourselves in. I think, despite the fact that the president does not want to do anything to be seen, to be acting in a sub judice manner, the time has come to call a National Council of State meeting. That National Council of State meeting will be a meeting of minds of those who are leading Nigerians, and they can have an open forum on all of these issues. I don't think that the presidency will be violating any law if it calls a National Council of State meeting. Why? Because of the election. Are we prepared? INEC met with CBN governor yesterday. CBN governor gave assurances. But has INEC deployed any material? Has it taken delivery of all the materials that it requires? The INEC chairman is so worried. After his meeting with the CBN governor, he went to see the National Security Advisor. The National Security Advisor assured him and all of us that those who are in charge of security management in Nigeria, they know they are ready. Are they ready? He says, we know what we are doing. Do they really know what they are doing? He says the election, there will be no violence. Are we sure? Because this threat is before, during, and after. And from what we have seen and the tension in the country, there is indeed cause for concern. There is indeed cause for alarm. And that is why I think that the big issue now is about the election. There are some people who have been saying the election should be postponed. You have on one side those who say the election should be postponed, those saying, no, you can't postpone this election. But if you look at it critically, within the purview of the Constitution, you have a window of 150 days and then 90 days before the handover date of May 29. And if you look at it, it looks like there's still a window. We may wake up tomorrow and some people will agree and say, oh, we are shifting this election. Now, if there is that shift, that also could have implications for a lot of things, not least of all, the confidence of the people in their government, their trust in the government, and what do they make of all the promises they made that we are ready, we are ready, we are ready. This is where we are, it looks, at a crossroads in Nigeria. And the Council of State meeting can address all of this without prejudice to whatever matter is before the courts.
Speaking of the Council of State meeting, real quickly, President Buhari has convened that already. That's going to happen on Friday. There's an emergency Council of State meeting already convened. The story broke a couple of hours ago. Secondly, I'll just beg the politicians, because they are the dramatic personnel in all of this. And Nigerians too, please shine your eyes. This Naira redesign policy, I keep asking, did it break any CBN law? No. What is the bone of contention? People need money. Is it that people have not been able to return their money to the banks, their old notes? No. The bone of contention is supply. Is the CBN working on supply? Yes. Yesterday alone in Edo State, 1 billion had been sent over the weekend. I took a drive around ATMs and I saw people are getting money. Yes, the queue is a lot, but people are getting money. But the queue is a lot. In fact, I even went out there to interview a couple of people. It's better than what it was last week. Concerning the protests in the country, I keep telling people the solution to a headache is not cutting the head off. I condemn what was done by those that went to destroy banks in Abeokuta. Also, the police should not always resort to using live ammunition to shooting people during protests. Let's keep the peace, let's keep calm. Politicians should not orchestrate things. I beg you. Also, I'll have to call on those in authority to please calm things down, because we can't go through this cycle all over again. And it has to be said, for us to be able to build a country, we have to try as much as possible to ensure that the laws of the land work. There was a letter written hitherto by the governors putting forward some suggestions as regards this. Let us look at some of those suggestions put forward. The letter was signed, I think, by the Governors Forum. I also met with President Buhari yesterday. But politicians should stop overinflating things as regards the Naira scarcity. Their pains and gains will come. There's violence, but we'll hold elections. Let us look forward to a better country. And I marvel so much when politicians do all they do now. The same people that hoarded COVID-19 palliatives from people are the ones acting like they care now. Let us temper things down. This country is for all of us. We'll build this country and it will work for us. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Rotus to give us updates on global and Africa business activities. Stay with us.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vault it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business with Vault. Vault is the answer. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Hey. Vault is the answer. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business with Vault. By Polaris Bank.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer.
Fellow Nigerians, all our best hopes for Nigeria are achievable. By every measure, Nigeria can be a better, stronger country. We can be a nation at peace, a place of shared prosperity where everybody is somebody, and equal justice under the law is enjoyed by all our citizens. In a few weeks, our country will go to the polls to elect political leaders and a president to lead our nation for the next 4 years. This is the most consequential election of our time. And we have it in our power to make the choice that allows us to achieve the grand possibilities of what Nigeria can be. Our path to greatness lies in recognizing the abiding truth that in a time of promise and peril such as this, the best thing we can do for Nigeria is to elect a leader with an established track record of achievement who has proven time and again his ability to triumph through adversity and succeed against the odds. In this election, that man is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now let me tell you about Asiwaju. This majestic yet profoundly imperfect democracy we have today is the legacy of men and women who in the years after 1999 used the instruments of law, politics, media, and advocacy to keep this country from becoming a one-party state dominated by the personality cult of one individual. Asiwaju was at the forefront of that effort in every way. At the same time, he was governor of Lagos State, Nigeria's smallest and most populous state, a beacon attracting talent and ambition in droves. As governor, Asiwaju initiated and implemented reforms that have allowed the state to continue to develop and thrive despite its unique challenges. No candidate in this election has a better track record of identifying and elevating talented young people across every walk of life like he can. Our country's political and economic landscape is filled with men and women who have benefited from climbing the ladders of opportunity built by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His campaign for president today is powered by these same people. Fellow Nigerians, our country can be better, and it will be. For that, we need a president who will deliver a new program of democracy, prosperity, and national security. We need a president who will invest in public infrastructure as part of a broader strategy to drive human capital development and create economic opportunity. We need a president whose clarity of vision is untainted by the pervasive cynicism that abounds in this historical moment. We need a man whose extraordinary leadership gifts are evidenced by the abundance of talent he has nurtured through the years and his capacity to overcome challenges in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. We need a leader with uncommon courage and audacity. We need a president who will assemble the best team and empower them to do the hard work of making Nigeria the best it can be. We need a leader whose administration will appeal to the hopes of those who still believe in the dream and promise of one nation, bound in freedom, peace, and unity. A leader who will lift our gaze from the consideration of small things to focus on pursuing and achieving grand ambitions that lift us all and save the future. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the man for the moment. I have seen him through the years, connecting with people from all walks of life, bearing their burdens and paving the way, and testimonies abound in this regard. I invite you to join him on this inspired mission to build a nation where we harness the faith, optimism, and confidence of the Nigerian people to overcome all cynicism, defeat all fear, and achieve the best ambitions we have for ourselves and the country we so love. Thank you, and God bless you, and may He forever bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now for updates on global and Africa business activities, Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus. How are you?
Good morning. I am fine. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Rufai. So real quick, press for time. We start off with Mr. President Biden, the State of the Union address. He gave little to no attention to foreign policy. He basically talked about economic issues, economy. He stressed the fact that unemployment is low. He talked about the fact that inflation is decelerating. He talked about, he's really bigging up his record job numbers from Friday, 517,000 jobs created. But data is showing that Americans don't seem to really be feeling it that much. So he didn't really talk much about the balloon from China that was shot down. He really didn't talk about much about the Russia invasion of Ukraine. Scant attention. It was all about the economy. Also talking about taxing billionaires and wanting to raise revenue, saying that oil companies are making more money. People need to pay their fair share. Here's the tweet. This tweet, I'm wondering when I will see these tweets. I mean, we think we should ask the presidential candidates of Nigeria when we see. Look at this. Wages are up. Inflation is down. More Americans have health insurance than ever before. Workers keep our nation running. It's about time that our economy works for them. In one tweet, he summarizes salary increases, cost of living coming down, and people having health insurance. And I'm like, when will I see this, 2026, 2027, 2030 in Nigeria? The Bank of England, nothing much to say here. They have launched their consultation paper for their digital pound. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey was stressing privacy concerns with the digital currency. So they are just this is the groundwork now, the foundation. They're saying maybe the latter half of this decade, they will launch a digital pound. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, sounding pretty bullish about what the digital pound will mean for, moving money onto the digital scale. Still saying that cash is king, cash is still very much here to stay, but they've got to make that move. The EU is doing it. The Chinese have already launched theirs. Nigeria, first African nation to launch their own digital currency. But of course, it's all about the network and internet connectivity. Yeah. Then that's global. We come to Africa. I think Chinasa Samuel, our correspondent, has a package on the INEC chair, Mr. Mahmoud Yakubu, visiting Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele to talk about the election and how the CBN can help to ensure a smooth election. I think we should have that.
Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, cash is scarce. Automated teller machines and over-the-counter cash withdrawals are not fully functioning to capacity. Bank apps and USSD codes are hanging. Individuals and businesses are badly affected. This is adding tension and anxiety as the country counts down to the general elections less than 3 weeks. On February 25th, 18 candidates will be contesting to replace President Muhammadu Buhari as Nigeria's next president. And on the 11th of March, governorship positions in 28 out of the 36 states will be up for grabs. There are now fears that this lack of cash might affect the smooth electioneering process, including hampering INEC logistics. This is a major reason for this visit by the INEC chairman to the Central Bank of Nigeria to explore better ways of partnership to resolve the issues. He explains how the scarcity of Naira notes pose a threat to the smooth running of election logistics, especially in areas of transportation.
Service providers are generally paid by means of electronic transfer to their accounts. However, there are equally critical areas such as transportation and human support services that have to be immediately remunerated, either partially or in full, before services are rendered. In addition, emergency situations may arise requiring immediate cash payments. Some of the critical service providers are unbanked.
On his part, the CBN governor shows that the Apex Bank remains committed to its support for the smooth conduct of elections in Nigeria. He promises to make cash available for the electoral body.
Do not allow itself either to be used or itself, central bank, to be seen as an agent that frustrated a positive outcome of that election. So I sit here to give you that commitment that whatever you need, like you have been responsible in the past anyway, It's not just about cash. You've done electronic payments before. And if in this case, after making your electronic payments, you require some money to pay transporters, in this case cash, the assurance I give to you is that we will make it available.
Also concerned about insecurity, the INEC chairman leads a delegation to the Office of the National Security Advisor. His mission is clear: security for all on Election Day.
We look forward to the comprehensive plan for the deployment of security personnel, including their various duty posts and contact details. This arrangement has been done in the past and has greatly facilitated rapid response to situations that may arise in the field, either on Election Day or during the collation of results.
For the National Security Advisor and heads of security agencies here, there is no cause for alarm.
The 2023 elections will go on in a climate devoid, bereft of rancor. The security agencies have done a lot in the last couple of months to put things in place.
I want to assure members of the public that the police, in collaboration with the defense and other security sector personnel, are fully prepared to conduct the 2023 general election in a free, fair, and credible manner.
I'd like to indeed pledge the commitment of members of the armed forces to the entire process.
With 17 days until the polls, INEC says it will leave no stone unturned in ensuring credible and acceptable polls. Shinaza Samuel, Arise News.
All right, finally, IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers of Nigeria, the Maiduguri branch, they kind of confused people a little yesterday, putting out 2 letters in the space of about 24 hours. Here's the first letter that they wrote, which of course speaks to the issues that marketers are facing. Following the critical situation as it affects our sourcing and selling of products at a loss and the action of the authorities to impose the selling of products at a loss price on our side, you are all hereby directed to suspend selling at all filling stations and also suspend payment of ordering products from source until further notice. That was February, that was yesterday. Then about 24 hours later, later on, they now put this out and reversed it, saying, having met with the concerned authorities, all filling stations should open with immediate effect to continue selling while the association continues with further consultation and will accordingly keep you informed. So price pressure still very much an issue for marketers on the downstream sector.
Price pressure, we all know what's going on with IPMAN, but I think that was not really nice to heighten up the tension because it took a counter message, to be able to calm down that. A lot of Nigerians went with that and there was panic in the system yesterday. It was not really nice, and I don't think people should be doing that, especially when they didn't have the all check from the National Association itself, the National IPMAN itself. They should be very careful at a time like this. Also, I want to also put in the conversation, Mele Kyari was interviewed yesterday on television. Yeah. I watched an interview for about 30 minutes.
What did he say?
And what he kept on saying was the fact that, yes, that they are pumping more, that now they're pumping about 74 million liters as against the number 64, about 70 million liters as against the number 60 threshold for a day, that they're also expanding the number of areas and collection points. He also talked about the fact that since the JSA fire incident happened, that then with a lot of pipelines that went through that trunk have been, incapacitated. They're not in use any longer. That pipeline will have aided things and all of that. All I just want to tell him is all of that is rhetoric. Fix the problem once and for all.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Please just stop all of that shenanigan. INEC reassuring people, Joe Biden's State of the Union address, there's still lots of wahala going on the local scene in America. You know why? Because even Jay Carney says he's still going to increase interest rates. And that is also coming. But also, yes, there are higher wages, but the labor market still needs a lot of injection and input. The job numbers need to go up.
Well, Mele Kyari in his address also apologized on behalf of the entire value chain for the sufferings of Nigerians and took responsibility. And then he said something that I'm not sure the merit of that, following the fact that we've heard this before, that next week we should see a drastic improvement and
next week.
Next week.
So, okay, is that true? Next week.
Well, that's precisely what he said. He said next week, that they are addressing the supply concerns and that the burden should continue to ease off. And he apologized. And he, identified with the Nigerian people the pain that they're going through. I think, at the level of civility, that's quite fine.
Yeah.
Second thing is that you talked about Joe Biden.
Yes.
I thought Joe Biden, when he spoke before Congress, that time, the oldest American president ever to deliver a State of the Union address, he showed a lot of vigor. And his presentation sounded like this is a pre-second term, announcement effort. And he was prepared. You could see that he was very vigorous and he was prepared for the heckling Republicans who were heckling on the issues of, Medicare, and healthcare issues, social security and all of that. But I think on the whole, it was a good outing for him. And you said foreign policy, that he didn't address forein policy. Well, of course he did, because he talked about China. There are paragraphs in that speech about China. And the strongest point he made about China is that if China, poses a threat to our sovereignty, we will act. And all of this is against the background of the spy balloon, that was shot down, along the coast of the Carolinas. So there was foreign policy in it. But the other part of it was the response from Sarah Sanders, former White House press secretary, now a governor. But of course, whatever she said was nothing compared to what the president said. But she made a strong point about generational change. And so a 40-year-old speaking for the Republicans, plus, old man Biden, who probably wants to be in office till he reaches the age of 86. And that's what he will be by the time he finishes his second term in office. Now, quickly, about other issues in Nigeria. Well, I think it's important that we are having this conversation. The CBN governor says, look, I helped you to provide forex for beavers. I kept my word. I've shown you consistently, INEC, that I'm committed to this because we see this as a national priority. Strong, good words. The National Security Advisor says we have this inter-agency consultative committee on election security, and we are working. We need to see the evidence of all of this. And the question that I raised earlier is that, are they ready from one side to the other? Because the concern being shown by the INEC chairman running from CBN to National Security Advisor may well be an indication that there is cause for concern. Thank you very much, Rotus. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Mikey Guinea, former Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Can you Atiku Abubakar maka ọganiru Nigeria? Tinyelu maka nchekwa obodo maka ọganiru maka ọdịna mma nke Naịjirịa tụnyebe eselu nchanwụ tinye vootu gị na nchanwụ tinyela Atiku maka nchekwa obodo maka ọganiru ezi nche ezi onye ndu Atiku kuwa ngachi ihe adịba mma ebe ka anyị ga-ebinye aka ebe sere nchanwụ.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. As of today, we have just 16 days to the Presidential and National Assembly election on February the 25th. Many Nigerians have expressed so much hope and optimism about the forthcoming elections as an opportunity to elect leaders who will commence the process of rebuilding Nigeria. Millions of citizens have been urged to collect their PVCs and ready to vote and determine who the elected leaders will be, because elections are now to be won and lost at the polling units and no longer at the wards. However, the role of the judiciary and the kind of judgments delivered so far on matters of outcome of party primaries have been issues of serious concern to Nigerians, who are wondering whether our judiciary can truly defend this democracy if individuals who didn't participate in party primaries are declared candidates by courts, and such matters declared as domestic affairs of political parties. To examine various issues regarding the judiciary, the Electoral Act, and other election matters is one man who opted to serve public interest rather than being a consultant to public parties who will have found his vast electoral knowledge useful and strategic to their campaigns. Is Mike Igene, former Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Good morning, Mike Igene. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Ruben, Dr. Ruben Abati from having me. Good morning, Ese, and my very good friend and brother from WAFI. Good.
Okay,
Good morning.
Quickly, there's been a lot of concern expressed about the role of the judiciary. And you, on this program, you've always talked about my brothers on the bench and how their role is so important to the credibility of the current electoral process, and perhaps, as always. Now, we have had two major decisions from the courts. From Akwa Ibom, we're told that Senator Godswill Akpabio now is the validly, elected person emerging from the party primaries, the APC party primaries for the senatorial election in his constituency. The same thing has also happened in Yobe North with regard to the nomination of Senate President Ahmad Lawan, and that the other man, Machina, didn't have a good case, or his lawyers didn't follow the rules of court. And now we have these two persons, and there are persons who are saying they don't think that justice has been done in both instances. But what do you think? Do you think the judiciary dropped the ball?
Dr. Abati, thank you very much for having me. It's a tragedy in our country that 16 days to elections, when we are supposed to be focusing on, as part of the engagement I've had with Arise Television and other sister stations since I left office in August last year. Here we are today, Dr. Abati, we are still talking about party primary issues that ought to have been dealt with several months ago, after INEC gave notice of when they should conduct primaries. And I also want to thank you for also reminding Nigerians of the fact that my cry, my battle cry about my constituency, it is historical. It's been a very long time. it is not about just the two cases you mentioned. How the rain has been beating us when it comes to my sector. And I've declared severally in written form before I went to INEC at a much even younger age that I have been carrying my placard in my heart that one of the things that made me to say I must study law is that when I see unfairness, when I see injustice, I felt that studying law is the best way to help to deal with that. Now, with respect to a judgment you've just referenced, Dr. Abati, look, it is not today. I want to say here that the judiciary, which should be the last line of defense of democracy and the rule of law, historically has not actually lived up to expectation. Remember, by way of a short context, that even the first election we had, the 1959 pre-independence election, how did it go? Results were still being counted, but returns were made. Remember, in 1979, when we had the so-called 9 to 3rd of 19, look at what happened. The courts, the judiciary itself, after delivering that type of judgment, the apex court said it should not be used as a precedent. Why should it not be used as a precedent? Remember, Dr. Abati, that in 1983, our own, well-respected icon, one who aspired most of us, Pa Awo, after the 1983 election, when he was asked whether he would go to the tribunal, Pa Awo said he was not going to go to the tribunal, that he had no confidence in the judiciary. That was Papa Awo who said so. In fact, I don't want to quote the exact words that he used because this is a system we want to build. But people should go and read what Pa Awo said about our own judiciary. And that is when I began to have fear, people that was still saying I was going to study law. Recall, Dr. Abati, that the June 12 crisis that we had, what happened? Of course, look at how the judiciary itself, Justice Ikpemen, truncated it from that different court order everywhere, which of course one of the senior advocates also tacitly referred to yesterday in your program that I watched. Eventually, when through an unsigned letter for the annulment of June 12 on the 23rd of June 1993, the government of the day, the military, declared that they had to annul the June 12 to avert judicial anarchy. Everything was put at the doorstep of the judiciary. Also, recall that in 2007 here, where the presidential election ballot paper were not serialized, what happened? This matter went to the court. Eventually, the apex court declared, the election to be valid. It took Yaradua, the president of the blessed memory, God bless him, who acknowledged that that election was flawed. Recall, I was on various television stations. I wrote that 2007 election, without the ballot paper serialized, ought to be annulled. But what happened? It took a vote, just vote of one justice of the Supreme Court, to affirm such a process that represents the lowest level of democratic discredit of any democracy, and that happened. Now, I give this contest so that when I speak with some level of the pain from history, because at the time when the journey of Nigeria and the prospect of democracy, this democracy we fought for, was less certain. People like us who were detained in various places in this country, many died, and that is the reason why at every given point in time, my victory is for due process. Now, this is where we are. Dr. Abati, in our quest to have internal party democracy, in the political parties that are indeed the essential organ of the democratic process, every effort were made to now have the 2022 Electoral Act and carried out profound reforms about political party primaries so that we could have an outcome that would reflect the wishes, aspiration of the party members. It was done by the National Assembly, signed by the president. All that has happened today by this judgment is effort to kill that section, the laws related to internal party democracy. This judgment have put what they call a final right. What we just had is an interment of the debt of those provisions. Now, I must say this here, Dr. Abati, and that is that if a process is not understood, abuse is inevitable. The 2022 Electoral Act was designed to bring sanity to political party choice of candidate making. And that is why all the provisions of the Repeal 2010 Act with respect to the jurisprudence that followed are now completely inapplicable with respect to the 2022 Electoral Act. What has happened now with what we've been told, that we are back again to the domestic theory in Onuaha versus Okafor in 1983, when Obaseki JSC, as it then was, made the point very clear that the reason why the court had to take the decision was because by a virtue of the section of 1982 Electoral Act, it was stated clearly, emphatically, unequivocally, that when there's a dispute with respect to the choice of a candidate, because that provision of the 1982 Act specifically provided that records shall be had to the leaders of the political party. Therefore, the court will be unable to take a decision on that, because to do otherwise will mean that a court of law will now impose or give a candidate to a political party. And where such things happen, it means that the court will have to campaign for that candidate. But that was with respect to that provision. Please, I just want to conclude on this contextual background, because today will be the last day I will speak on this matter, so that we focus on key issues that are coming. Therefore, what has happened is a tragedy. For us, our democracy, to blossom, to be nourished, it must be noted. The first assault to democracy is rule of law.
All right.
The judiciary that was very audacious, that was very courageous, that was fearless under the military, are not seeing that happening now, Essie.
All right, thank you, Mr. Igini. Now, I'm glad you talked about domestic affairs with regards to the conduct of primaries. However, the ruling by the Supreme Court was in favor of the APC based on technical issues around the originating summons versus writ of summons, which they ruled should have been Mr. Machina's option. However, I want us to talk about or examine this domestic issue or domestic challenge we talked about with regards to the conduction of primaries and runoff elections. Now, the provision is that 14 days, a runoff election should be done within 14 days of the first one. The first senatorial primaries in Yobe North was done on the 28th of May, whilst the election that was set, the primary, that was set to have elected Mr. Ahmed Lawan, Senator Ahmed Lawan, as the candidate of the APC was on the 9th of June. This is a 12-day period. I'd like your view on this, because this wasn't brought. Is that legal? Should that be allowed? We already have a judgment on that. But should the APC have presented him to, as a candidate to INEC?
Essie, let me say this here, that the exercise we're embarking on is what is referred to a mere academic exercise. But probably lessons will be for the future. Because as lawyers, we know that, and of course generally, on earth, judges are next to God. In fact, literally, we normally say that judges are courts, particularly Supreme Court, could make a man a woman and make a woman a man. Now that it has been decided, and because they are infallible, because they are final, not because they are not fallible as human beings, what we are doing here is just a mere academic exercise, and therefore for the future. So quickly, on the issue you just raised, a domestic affair does not mean that party leaders should not respect, abide by their own internal rules. Particularly when it has been decided that, look, in view of what we see going through with political party primaries, that those domestic regulations should not even be elevated to the Electoral Act, the 2022 Electoral Act. Elections are based on timelines. Supreme Court in Caulfield, in recent judgment, decided that no court of law can even extend the timeline for the conduct of primaries. I have forwarded to you, place it, because what I want to do today is to quickly put certain facts before the Nigerian people to show to you. And I talk to you generally that I use the Akwa Ibom you mentioned. But the senatorial primary was slated for on the 27th of May. The calendar, I've sent it to you nationwide, 27th of May. Now, you could see this is the calendar, the 2023 senatorial primaries. It was set up on the 27th of May, 2022. You can see APC, that is APC. You can, because all the parties, they have their different dates, but that of the APC, which number 6 or so, you could see it there, 27th. That date was given after the required notice. The notice was 21-day notice under Section 82 of the Act, which is compulsory. Any primaries that is conducted outside that period is a nullity. By way of correction, you do not have by-election with respect to primaries. Section 33 of the current Act is clear as to the fact that under the current law, no political party can substitute a candidate that have emerged from primary under section, validly from primary from under section 29 as monitored under section 84, subsection 1 of the Act. That is the new law. Not at all. Now, if you look at this date, that was 27. That was when that of Akwa Ibom was conducted. Now, however, on the 9th of June, the commission had meeting with all the resident commissioners across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please, Nigeria, to take note of this fact. That on the 9th was the last day for all primaries across the country. We were in Abuja at the meeting. At about 7:45 p.m., 7:45 p.m. in the evening, I got a call from my office now in Akwa Ibom of a rumored plan to conduct a Nicodemus primaries in the 9th. I said, what? Senatorial that ended in May? We are in June? That is impossible. I woke up and I saw on social media that a rerun primary had been conducted in Akwa Ibom. And I said, what do you mean by a rerun? Because as an election manager, a rerun election has meaning in election conduct. It means that there was a previous one that was cancelled, and we must know who cancelled it, the reasons for cancellation. And in any case, if you must have a rerun primaries, it can only be between those who participated in the previously cancelled primaries. There could be nothing like that. And I made a statement that the train of senatorial primary had left the station long ago. That was the same thing that was said over there. But the part I want to put, Dr. Abadi, for Nigeria, so that we can see whether justice has been done to the party members here, are as follows. One, it is that for election, political party primaries is and remains a generic process that has the constitutive element of the following. One, there must be sales, there must be time for the opening of the sales and close of sales of form for party people who are in as aspirants to buy form. When you will have bought that form, you will fill, you will sign, and you will submit it with an attached affidavit. The question is, do these individuals purchase forms at the time of sales, at time of closure, and they attach an affidavit that they are contesting for senatorial primaries? Number three, a committee of the party will be set up to do what we call screening. They will screen the people who are aspiring. Were these individuals, those who were screened for senatorial primaries at the time, because there's a timeline for everything. When that shall have been completed, the party will send the names of those who have been screened. Were these individual names part of those sent to INEC? Not at all. As senatorial candidate, not at all. But rather, these individuals were seen at the screening committee or the presidential convention in Abuja. The whole world saw them in those areas. Now, let me say this here. When you say that a previous election has been annulled, where is it? Was there a 21-day notice? Because once an event has been completed and you want to conduct another one, you must give a notice. Now, the only variation is under Section 34 of the current Act in the case of death. In the case of death, the Electoral Act says that another election that will be conducted like what happened in Abia shall be done within 14 days. Within 14 days. Very clear on that. Was there a notice of this so-called Nicodemus primaries, central primary, conducted that brought the emergence of this individual? The answer is a emphatic no. With respect to the issue about the decision taken, one based on domestic, one based on procedure. Let me be very clear here. This is the reason why we have decided before I left the commission, and I'm happy that the commission is still doing what, and we're expanding the frontier what we are doing, that election will not be taken to court. One, the current 2022 pre-election practice direction, it is very clear that all pre-election matters must be commenced by way of originating summons. By way of originating summons, it is there clear by the issue by the CJ of the Federal High Court. That is the law that has been given. If we say that elections are sui generis, they are of a different class that will not necessarily follow the normal rules of court, how come that citizens will cry to the court, crying for justice, do justice for us, like those who came to meet me, Dr. Abati, that look, we know our people, they are not going to follow the procedure. In Guinea, you are too strict on procedure. They are going to defeat us because whatever they will do by way of writing result is what will be upheld at the end of the day. I told them that will not happen. But today, I am pained that the people that I told to follow a part of due process, today are the one now suffering. Okay. So I'm not saying that this is the background that people need to understand. And that when you now saw Rufai, let me add to this here, that the current judgment was not decided on merits, except the technicality. The two other, they never decided on merit because with respect to issue, this is the last point I'll make on this here, Rufai, and that is that Section 137, Nigerians should go and read it. We have decided that because of the shenanigans of parties in the election, they are saying, yes, we no longer need to call oral evidence. There's no need. On election matter, there's no need for oral evidence because we knew what they've been doing over the years. that when you say oral evidence, some people say, I'm going to call 350 witnesses, 350 witnesses, 200 witnesses, 50 witnesses, and there's a time limit. They will not filibuster. At the end of the day, the whole case will be time will spent. That was why it was decided under the current act that oral evidence may not be necessary because a documentary was there.
Okay. Mr. Agini, let me come in. It's good you have put this out there now. So are we going to say that this was not seen in Section 137 of the Electoral Act, that you don't even need oral evidence? We keep saying this caveat of electoral matters are sui generis. But if the process can start at the Federal High Court with originating summons, and now they are using the technicality of writ of summons, then please let's explain that further. And also to juxtapose this with the laws on the land, I said there's no need for oral evidence. Also, I want you to now talk to us about even the dissenting judgment that even gave a 3 million naira fine to the APC and that addressed the merits of the case that the overriding judgment didn't address. Afterwards, now help us look forward to the elections, couple of days to the election. The CBN governor met INEC chief. They said money will be available and logistics, and also talk about ad hoc staff manipulation that we are seeing, and the fact that most Nigerians have not gotten their PVC as we speak today, and the date is closed. If you can just tie all of that together for us as a ribbon, we'll be able to do something with time.
Oh, yes. Rufai, as I said, this current conversation is just for us to put the fault on record. Otherwise, it's a mere academic exercise. It's been done. My concern is about the forthcoming election. And that if we are doing this with the Electoral Act, what lies the fate of all matters that will come before the judiciary? Look, Rufai, I just pointed out to you what we have under Section 137. It's for this same reason that we have suffered for 20 years that we decided that this is the way it should go. And the parliament signed it in. That because people are going to come to the court with so many witnesses and all that, just to frustrate the case, not to be gone. That's what it was. In any case, let me inform you here that all the cases that have been filed so far, they all commenced by way of originating summon. Why are these two different? Look, Rufai, you see, we must be very careful. I am worried, and I've said this over time, even before this judgment came, that if Nigeria will die, it will die because of lack of commitment of both the members of the bar and the bench for the survival of our democracy. If arbitrariness is to be curbed, arbitrary of political party leaders or citizens, we need a fearless judiciary that will stand tall and mighty in defense of democracy and the rule of law. Two kinds of corruption must be avoided. The corruption of judicial officer. The second category of corruption is corruption in the institution of judiciary. By way of people trying to intimidate the judiciary, pressure the judiciary, and do all kinds of things. And today, I must tell you this, and I'm going to refer to a judge today, and I will call a name today, to help drive home the point we are making here, that our quest for a fearless, courageous, and independent judiciary will be meaningless and hopeless if we also do not protect very courageous judges that will stand tall and call justice by their own names. A good example is a judge who has not retired, who called justice by his name. He was frustrated, the judiciary, Justice Amazing, who are retired. They frustrated him. They were to burn him alive with his family in his official home in Edo State in 2007, 2008. They were to roast him. Why? Because he showed courage. He showed courage to do the right thing. They were to kill him, as I speak to you, that judge, when they set his house on fire, he was in the house with his family. At about 9 p.m., that judge escaped by the grace of God. All his entire certificate from primary school up to the law school does not have a single certificate today. The politician threatened him that for refusing on election matter, all right, for refusing to accede to their unethical request that a judge should decide matter one way or the other. They burnt his own house, so official quarter escaped. So the point here, Dr. Abati, to drive home the point.
Because we have just a few minutes left.
Is to let you know, yes, that I am worried about the expanding empire of the courts in political matters. And that is because we must learn very quickly from what happened in that part of the world, that before now, in England, matters of petition were first and foremost decided in the House of Commons. Because of lack of justice, they went to to the court. When they got to the court, they discovered there was also an attempt by political interest people to want to hijack the court. That was why they decided that there must be a reform of the electoral process so that people can win the election finally and conclusively at the poll. That was why Abati, for a period of 99 years, almost 100 years, there was no post-election adjudication in England. That's what we're trying to do with our commission, with the beavers, with all the innovations that have been developed to address historical challenges.
But let's talk about now.
Yeah, if the judiciary will not stand tall and mighty, then with respect to the primary elections, Dr. Abati, as I said, I'm not going to speak on this matter again. This is 9:15. On this subject matter, for me, it is good night.
Okay, hold on. Now, I'd like you to address two quick things. This is not the first time we will have this kind of situation. We had it in the Amechi case. The Supreme Court came back and said, oh, that's no longer good law. We had it in the Ifeanyi Ararume case. We had it in the Senator Opuzodinma case. And then we have this latest development, where the courts just hide under technicalities. What do you think is the implication now that politicians have seen that, look, elections are better determined in the courts? Are we likely to see lorry loads of litigation arising from these elections if it holds? That's one. Number two, Section 135 of the 1999 Constitution gives the president powers to postpone the election if there is war, if there is a threat that the state considers a major threat. And there are people who are already calling for the postponement of this general election. Do you think they will have their way?
I must say this here, and I give it to the President Muhammad Buhari, that in his words and action, he has told the whole world that under his watch, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the EM that is saddled with elections, he wants to leave behind, create an enabling environment for election to be conducted. I don't see that happening. Because to do otherwise, we lead to constitutional crisis. Because those who are in office, we have to leave. The president have done so. He must be supported with his avowed commitment. With respect to the issue of going forward, which Abati we should be focusing more on, I am making an appeal to my constituency, the judiciary, the bar and the bench, that people look up to us. Sapara William told us that all of us, our legal knowledge must be for the service of our people and for the direction of our country. I appeal to them that they need to study the current 2022 Electoral Act. All the jurisprudence with respect to the Repeal Act are currently not applicable, save for only those provisions that you now find in the current act. Dr. Abati, I am worried, I am disturbed that even INEC lawyers represent the senior advocate who are also the one who will go to court to undermine INEC. Recall the corridor. It was a senior advocate of Nigeria who went to court to say that INEC guidelines manual were made pursuant to the power granted to him under the Constitution. They are mere instruction. That was adopted by the Supreme Court. Whereas Section 160 of the Constitution of the Fatherland is very clear, unambiguous, to the effect that the power of INEC to make rules or otherwise determine its own procedure shall not be subject to the control or direction of the most powerful person in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that's the Mr. President. That is contained under Section 160 of the current Act. Dr. Abati, democracy, we have no hopeful future if we don't have a judiciary that is ready to stand tall and mighty in its defense. Dr. Abati, I must say this here, the shibboleth of the judiciary being the last hope of the common man. Please, let us not give impression.
On that note,
Nigerian people, finally, that the judicial process is a conspiracy against them. That's the only way we can build a society where there will be opportunity for all.
On that note,
from all.
We'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. Thank you very much, Mikey Guinea.
Thank you, Mikey Guinea. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
Hi, I'm Pato Rankin, and they don't call me World Best for no reason. I only deal with the best. Be it auto or business, 100% claim is always guaranteed.
Welcome to World Class Insurance Services. We are Anchor Insurance,
where insurance truly works.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efene. Good morning, Great Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Yes, we start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Naira scarcity, Buhari, Bagudu, Tambuwal, Emefiele, Bawa meet. Seek solutions. Yes, President cancels meeting with NGF over Supreme Court action. CBN has no plan to thwart polls with Naira shortage, says Apex Bank governor. Federal government blames opposition for politicizing policy. CBN has disbursed over 1 billion naira to banks in Edo in 3 days. State government reveals Ganduje alleges plot to disrupt democracy. TUC gives federal government 7 days ultimatum to address currency fuel shortages. Yes, all hands seem to be on deck, but we don't seem to be making progress yet. Because what you see on the streets at front of the banks is still frustration of bank customers who want to access their funds kept with the banks. Now, why is it so difficult to get this Naira, the new design Naira, properly circulated? Is what all the stakeholders are putting heads together. Of course, the president calling off that meeting scheduled with governors, with some states approaching the Supreme Court to force the government to extend the use of the old currency almost indefinitely, if you will. But other newspapers are also reporting the story. The Guardian newspaper, Buhari cancels meeting with governors as TUC issues ultimatum. Well, the Sun newspaper, Daily Sun newspaper, angry bank customers destroy ATMs, vehicles, barricade highways as banks shut down operations in Lagos. Buhari meets leadership of Governors Forum in Emefiele. Nigerians reaching breaking point, NLC is warning. Now, below the photograph there, CBN won't be used to scuttle election. Emefiele assures INEC of funds to pay service providers. Yes, the INEC chairman had to do this round yesterday. First, he visited the central bank governor to also express his concern about the situation with the new design Naira. Because on election day, there are some people who are cash and carry contractors, transporters, a lot of them who have been engaged by INEC to do some work on that day. They will need their payment. And we don't want a situation where transporters will hold INEC to ransom to say, if you don't pay, I don't move with your materials, because that in itself will amount to scuttling the election. But Emefiele, the governor of Central Bank, has assured that at any time, money will be available. Cash will be available to INEC if they need to pay by cash. Now, the Punch newspaper, Naira crisis may disrupt poll. INEC wants Emefiele NSA. Of course, INEC chairman also visited the National Security Advisor, where he also got assurances that, of course, there will be security for Nigerians to troop out on February 25 and March 11 to choose the next set of leaders for the country. Now, the Nation newspaper, Naira scarcity sparks protest. But just above that story, Tinubu calls for calm over cash crunch, petrol scarcity. El-Rufai, Abiodun, let's embrace peace. Yes, Nigerians love peace, but Nigerians are also people, of course, the ordinary citizens, when they cannot have money to do simple things, to feed their family. Of course, that will be stretching their endurance to the limit. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, Atiku camp kicks as APC wants election shifted by 4 weeks. Well, we've seen elections postponed in the past, but this time, of course, according to this story, the APC asking for that shift, but the PDP is having none of that. But if we look at the Daily Trust newspaper, National Crisis, Buhari convenes Emergency Council of State meeting for Friday. Come up with pragmatic solutions. Afenifere urges leaders. We need cash to conduct elections. INEC President meets Tambuwal Bagudu, CBN Governor, others at Aso Rock. Now, the Council of States, that meeting, we recall in the past when such meetings were held ahead of general election, advice was taken from that meeting by the leader of the country. And I hope this emergency Council of State meeting is not going to recommend a postponement of the election, because we still have time to ensure that these hiccups that are staring us in the face, scarcity of the Naira, the new design Naira, scarcity of petroleum products can be addressed before that day. Yes. Now, if we look at the Business Day newspaper, yes, Business Day newspaper, I just, the lead story there, big tech firms leave Yaba for Ikoyi on infrastructure need. But the election story that interests me there, diaspora Nigerians returning home for presidential election. Of course, those are Nigerians who have been registered here to vote before they traveled. They are coming home to also make their impact felt by casting their votes. This is a very important election that is coming up. Now, the Guardian newspaper of London, the Guardian, the foreign newspaper now, monstrous rapist ex-Met officer jailed for life after years of attack. Yes, David Carrick, the Met officer who were asking for the Guardian newspaper of UK. Yes, David Carrick, the Met officer who used his position thinking that it's above the law to harass and rape women, 12 women. So, who he raped over time and used his position to force them into silence, is being jailed for life. And of course, the New York Times, Biden urges GOP to work with him to build the economy. In his State of the Union address, of course, it's challenging the House Republican majority to work together with him to finish the job. Ruben Rufai and Ayo.
We seem to have run out of time again, but in the foreign papers, what I found most disturbing, the reports from Turkey, the picture of that baby who was found, still attached with the umbilical cord to his mother, who then was rescued. So story of life and death, such terrible, tragic irony. Yeah. And then also that of a father holding the hand of his dead child. But it's good that international aid is going in the direction of Turkey. And then Nigerian students that are there have reported that they are also receiving assistance, but particularly with the treatment of trauma. Anyway, thank you very much. We don't seem to have much time. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Daniel Bwala, spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
34 million hectares of arable land. Over 200 million people. One nation. Home to Africa's fertilizer company. Dangote Fertilizer. Pure urea fertilizer. With one single-minded passion to feed Nigeria. Every bag is a potential, an aspiration to turn this green nation into the biggest food basket of Africa. Dangote Fertilizer.
Nigeria has a problem.
A really big problem. The problem has made our country sick.
And we cannot remain sick for 4 more years.
Nigeria is sick with insecurity,
poverty,
rising cost of living,
and an escalating Japa crisis.
The good thing is,
Nigeria has a pathway to recovery.
And when we recover, our country will be safe.
When we recover, our economy will grow.
When we recover,
our nation will be stronger. We have to recover from this sickness.
So we can recover from lost ground.
Recover our time.
Recover our future.
And our dignity.
On the African continent. In 2023,
it is Nigeria time to recover.
And together, we can get it done.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte, or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband buy.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hello, welcome to Able to Vote Guide. On this episode, we'll present to you how a person with disability can enjoy priority voting rights in the forthcoming general election. My name is Jake Epele. I'm the CEO of TAF Africa. Let's get started. For a person with disability, on arrival at the polling unit, please go to the presiding officer, in this instance, INEC presiding officer, and show yourself as a person with disability. You will be given the right to vote before every other person at that polling unit. It is priority voting right, and it's your right. In the case where there are clusters of persons with disability at the same time in the polling unit, a special line or priority line will be created for everybody to participate in the process. Now you know this. It is your right to go out there and vote. Nothing stops you, and you shouldn't stop yourself. Continue to watch this series as we present to you specific things that persons with disability will do to participate in the forthcoming general election. This program is brought to you by TAF Africa, funded by European Union, with support from our media partners. Follow us on our social media handle, and please ensure that you participate and vote in the forthcoming election. It's your right. My name is Jake Epele, and I'll see you on the next edition of this series.
My name is Kashim Shetima. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and now a public servant by calling. I was the governor of Borno State for 8 years. In the heat of the Boko Haram, we set up an agricultural transformation committee. We crisscrossed the world and invested in the whole agricultural value chain. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of landmass, 3,577 square kilometers. But the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Imota in Lagos. That is the power of ideas. Bola Tinubu is an idea whose time has come. Let us vote for Bola Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria come 25th of February. God bless Nigeria.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The camp of the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, yesterday rejected moves by the ruling All Progressives Congress to extend the 2023 general elections by 4 weeks. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in its timetable, had announced that the presidential and National Assembly elections will hold on Saturday, February 25, 2023, followed by the governorship and state assembly elections on Saturday, March 11, 2023. Already, El-Rufai and two other APC governors, Yahaya Bello from Kogi and Bello Matawale from Zamfara, have dragged the federal government before the Supreme Court over the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, seeking a declaration that the demonetization policy of the Federation being currently carried out by the CBN under the directive of President Muhammadu Buhari is not in compliance with the extant provisions of the Constitution. Dr. Daniel Bwala, while reacting to the alleged plan by APC to go to court and seek for extension of the Naira policy as well as seek the postponement of the election by 4 weeks, said APC is panicked by a condition of fear of voter backlash he calls anthrophobia. Joining us now on the show is Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Daniel Bwala. The last time you were on this program, you accused the APC of suffering from pantophobia. You seem to have even gone a step further in this your medical diagnosis as a politician. Now you are accusing the APC of anthrophobia. So please, can you explain what you mean by all of this to us?
Good morning, Dr. Abati, Mr. Rufai, and my dear sister.
Good morning. Good
the last
to see
time
you.
I was here, like you rightly pointed out, I said they were suffering from pantophobia, which is a condition that is triggered by anxiety of the fear of failure. But since then, their condition has deteriorated very hard. And now it has transmigrated, or it has moved to a point where we call anthromophobia, which is a rare condition of anxiety that is triggered by the fear of people or society. In other words, the fear of voter backlash. And that imminent defeat that is facing them and the fear of what the voters will do, because you see, the sufferings of the Nigerian people from the length and breadth of this country did not start with the CBN policy. For the past 8 years, Nigerians have endured death, kidnappings. I recall 2 years ago, there was an analysis that 2.1 billion naira was spent, was extorted by the bandits on Nigerians between Kaduna and Abuja. I recall also the cases of death in different communities in Nigeria. You have seen the gradual increase of inflation, lack of food. You see the corruption in the system to a point where lizards swallow money, birds swallowed money, insects swallowed money. There is virtually nothing the Nigerian people have not seen in the last 7 years. Even if you come down to the issue of fuel problem, for example, this isn't the first time Nigerians are facing that. But what is actually happening now is the climax of bad governance, climax of the bad policies of the All Progressives government-led, All Progressives Congress-led government, which is the reason why they are afraid, because we are right at the door of election. And the fear that this is going to tell on them is the reason they are doing what they are doing. First, they started by the call for extension. They put pressure on the president. The president resisted that. We communicated. And now that it has been shifted, President said, give me 10 days to reflect on it. They wanted to go to court. There is a court order that says President is restrained from extending it. Now, given the time, they know that it will become impracticable for them to achieve what they went to court to do. So they came up with the second one, which is what is practically happening. All of this protest and crisis you're seeing are aggravated in APC-led state. And the catch is that if they foment this crisis in those states, they will pressure the security forces to write an opinion to the president that given the situation and circumstances, there is the need for the president to extend the election this time around by 4 weeks so that they would have been out of the 10-day window. That case would have been heard and they would have used the opportunity to go and fetch for a black market order extending stopping the Naira policy. You see, if you have even listened to the video of El-Rufai, and the video is all over social media, he is even telling the electorate in Kaduna that they should ignore all this monetary policy. They should use their old money and use their new money. If somebody gives to them, they should collect. They should continue, but that after election, they will deal with that situation. In other words, they are using one stone to kill two birds. One is the idea of extension. Two is the deception to the voters that the old money will apply. This is a game plan in order to deceive them into thinking the vote buying can still be achieved by the old money. But this is the case of anthromophobia.
All right. Thank you for expounding on the case of anthromophobia. Yeah, I find it a tongue twister, but the phobia that you talked about. Now, I want to talk about the rebuttal by the APC saying that indeed it is your party that is colluding with some state actors to scuttle the elections come February 25. What's your take on it? Because you're saying it's the APC, so there are accusations and counter-accusations on this.
The thing is that that isn't selling with the common man on the street. It isn't selling with experts. It's not even selling in the media. Given this fact, I will tell you. For those of them that still open their constitution and the Electoral Act, it is a political party that sponsors a candidate. On the day of election, you will not see the name of Tinubu there. You will see APC. The government in power is APC, came into power by the voting of the population of Nigeria. The policy have been emanating from the APC-led government. The Naira design did not come from PDP. This is not like the British government. The opposition is not anywhere near power. Now, they are falling short of calling the president a moron. That's why they have used every adjective under the heavens to insult him. One, they touch his head, his shoulder, his knee, and the toe. Head, shoulder, knee, and toe. They say it's not the president that is the problem. It is somebody around the villa manipulating him. Somebody said, no, it is somebody in Central Bank manipulating him. Another one said, no, it is one behind his house manipulating him. All they are trying to say is that the president is like an effigy. He doesn't have a thinking. He doesn't have rationality. In fact, he doesn't even have access to security and intelligence briefing. But the policies emanated and the policies are dished out from the APC-led government. How does that connect to PDP? And besides, because PDP is in a pole position to win this election, it is the natural thought by the APC-led government or APC party to assume that any policy that APC is not crying, then that means APC is, any policy that PDP is not crying foul, then that means PDP is beneficiary. But I need you to know that we have about 8 political parties in Nigeria. In fact, yesterday, 14 of them threatened to boycott this election if this Naira policy is extended. So in other words, apart from APC, all the other political parties have welcomed the idea of the Naira policy so that if anything else, if anything at all, this election must reflect the wishes of the people. Look at the increase of voter registration. Look at the movement among the young people. Look at the excitement that people have to be able to decide their future. The least that this government can give to the Nigerian people is a free, credible and fair election. The European Union and international observers decided to come much earlier than they usually come during election, so they can observe for themselves what is happening and they don't have to be told by domestic observers.
Okay, real quickly, a couple of things, Daniel, and let's go straight to it. Number one is, a lot of people are asking, how are you so sure that it's the PDP that will carry the day? Because a lot of people too have argued that PDP are part of those, since the return to democracy, that have not allowed Nigerians to enjoy the return to democracy and get the dividends of democracy. The APC keeps talking about the 16 billion that the PDP spent on electricity, and they've not been able to do anything about it. The fact that it was the failures of the PDP that brought the APC to power, that's one argument. Secondly, also, you guys have your own internal squabbles with Wike. Wike has now gone to the court now to say that, hey, PDP, please, you can't suspend me. The court shuts them down. And also the likes of Chimaroke Onamani. And thirdly, I want empirical proof and evidence about this 22.5 billion of old notes that the PDP claims that the APC amassed in Kano. Empirical proof, what is happening as regards that?
Okay, let me start with the first one, Mr. Rufai. How are we sure that it is PDP that will carry the day? This is the reason why we are sure we are winning the election. One, our ears are on ground as we communicate our vision to the Nigerian people. Then we listen to what the experts are saying, both in the public and the private sector. We are hearing from the experts in the private sector, especially those who are rooted in economy, that although in all the political parties there is no perfect manifesto, but that the manifesto of PDP is one that is realistic in achieving the goal of recovering Nigeria from the doldrum. Then from the communities and the ground level, as we listen to the voters, we are hearing from them that they will never vote APC across any platform in Nigeria, because nobody is ever dreaming or wishing of having the reputation of the last 8 years, which has turned Nigeria into something else. But we have also heard from them that other alternative parties do not have the structure and the capacities to win the election, are communicating messages that are the very opposite of their philosophy. 3, they are reeling out falsehood that are not empirically verified. And 4, the only party that appears to be in the center and positioned to unite Nigeria amidst this cacophony is PDP, because on the other side, APC is playing religious politics. On this side, you have the Labour playing religious politics. And so PDP is the one that has a structure. Let me give you an example, Mr. Rufai. If you look at APC, for example, when they were talking about zoning, ordinarily, power would have gone to the southeast. But they instigated a lot of southeast politicians in APC to run for president so they can remove all of them out of that place. And today, the Southeast in APC have no definition of identity, not to talk of a clarification of the future. If you come to Labour, Labour is a party that is still trying to find its own identity. It has not been able to define what it stands for. It has not been able to define the direction it is going. The person who is leading it has not acquired the needed reach and experience to manage a country like Nigeria. This is the reason why we think that we are winning. Question number 1. Question number 2. You talked about, if I remember, oh my God. Can you refresh my memory, sir? Because I remember after
the Wike conundrum and Nnamani conundrum. So, and then lastly, I also talked about this 22.5 billion. Give me empirical proof of the fact that you people saw that money in the hands of APC. If you don't give me proof, I don't believe it. I'm a man of empirical facts.
So, no, you just ask question, don't read conclusion. Now, with respect to Wike, we have told you for over 6 months on this studio that PDP is positioned to win and focused. We have been bashed and touched and attacked and fact-checked every left, right, and center as to whether we believe that the G5 will inhibit our progress. And we told you we are focused, even though we are negotiating with them. In the past 6 months, there is nothing we have not seen with the G5, which has, transformed into a lot of 5, including of Jackson 5. Now, the Wike that you are talking about, which has been displaying masculinity, displaying strength like Hulk Hogan, you must have read that Wike has run to court now, seeking for an injunction stopping the party from carrying out its own constitutional power. The party is supreme. Nobody is above the party. For Chimaroke Nnamani, you must know that Chimaroke Nnamani has been involved in anti-party activities. He has openly declared support for a candidate other than the candidate of PDP for presidency. And the constitution of our party has empowered the party outrightly to expel anybody that is doing anti-party. Now, for those who are going to the court, What they will hear from the court is, and you look at the decision of the Supreme Court to that effect, the party is supreme. The party is bound by its own constitution. Anybody who does anti-party is at the mercy of the party. Yet the party has not taken any radical step against them. The party is still looking for peace and moving. And now, who is ashamed? The people they have given indication they were going to support, they are in a logjam. Wike has led people to believe that he will support Labour Party candidate. But we know he will not support Labour Party candidate because he was the reason Labour Party candidate left PDP in the first place. And the ground support that he's getting at that time thought that his sympathy lies with Peter Obi. Now he's finding it difficult to tell the world that he's supporting Tinubu. The other G5, we are still talking with them. We are getting good responses, especially from the governor of Abia. And look at how party is. Now, the governor of Abia, for example, they did not recognize the legitimacy of Iochayu. But after the sad event that led to the death of his candidate in that state, he needed the same chairman that he said does not believe in his legitimacy. He said this is where you begin to factor some of those things. And in the third one, with respect to the 22 billion, I have not mentioned 22 billion. And whoever said it, I think the person is better positioned to give you empirical evidence. But if I say it, then I'll be happy to answer that to that effect.
But it's your party, you know, the presidential campaign is the PDP that made these allegations and put it out there. But I also want to press it. Further. Is there anything about money that is being circulated that people might have heard of? Because all of this came out as regards the notes here. Go ahead.
What I know about money is that El-Rufai was on an interview where he said a fellow governor of his and friend secured 500 million naira of the new note. I have not heard that security agencies invite him to explain where he got it, because it is the same platform upon which there have been arrests of bank managers and different sets of people. And I have not seen any policy of the CBN that has guaranteed right to a governor to get 500 million of the new naira note. So that is the one that I've heard about money. I also heard about money that the APC as a party and their campaign, they have stashed money in safe houses across Nigeria, the old money, which they intend to use for vote buying. And because the policy will affect them, that is why they are fighting against it. Anything other than that, I have not heard anything.
Do you have proof for all of this, Dr. Batim?
There are other issues, please. Now, I want to ask you, you were expressing concern about the fact that the APC, that they are suffering from anthrophobia and all of that, and some people are asking for postponement of the election. Are you aware, as you must be aware, that under Section 135, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, elections can be postponed? Once the president thinks that, well, this election is not possible, then he can go to the National Assembly, which by a simple resolution can extend the election, but for not more than a period of 6 months. That's one. What do you think about that?
What do you say?
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Yes, it's constitutional.
Let me finish.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I referenced what you said earlier. Now, secondly, the governor of Kano State, Governor Ganduje, says that 4 unknown political parties, by this I guess is referring to the Action Alliance, the APP, the APM, and the NRM, the National Rescue Movement, the parties that went to court to get an injunction stopping the president from further, or the CBN from further extending the deadline for the return of old notes. So the governor says that the issue here is that those 4 political parties are colluding with the People's Democratic Party. Is there a case of collusion as alleged? And there are certain political parties in Nigeria that are unknown. And is the PDP even planning to join the case to further support those 4 political parties?
Okay, so the first question, yes, sir. The first question is, it is constitutional that the president has the powers to postpone election upon conferring with the National Assembly. But just like in court, the exercise of discretion is measured by what is attainable. They say you must exercise that discretion judiciously and judicially. The condition for which the president can request for extension of postponement of the election are outlined. One of which is if the situation on ground warrants that the election cannot be conducted in the given circumstance, which is the reason why I made the case that APC is trying to foment crisis in their APC-led state to give the impression that a number of states in Nigeria, there is already a crisis that is suggesting that the election should be postponed so they can take their time and quell those crises. But let me tell you what the president himself said in the past, so you can have an idea of his disposition and character, and then he will be judged against his own character. In 2015, when the election were to be postponed, the president was interviewed by a foreign journalist, and the president recounted that in Syria, in Afghanistan, and one other country, war was taking place, and yet election was conducted. In 2019, there was a security report to the president that there are crises in pockets of places in the country, and unless the elections are extended, people might use this period to snatch ballot box. The president said that he has tried his best. Nigerians are free to choose whoever they want, and anybody who takes a ballot box, that's the last time he will act in this world. In other words, they will kill him. The president has maintained a position that threat from unknown actors and conspirators in the country cannot determine the freedom of democracy that we are practicing. And so the president should know, in my view, that any state that tries to foment artificial crisis so they can force the postponement of this election, the president, again by law, has the power to declare state of emergency in those states, and we will go ahead and conduct election. Because the Electoral Act and even the conduct of INEC said that if there is election in a particular polling unit and the BVAS is not working, will you cancel all the elections in Nigeria? No, that one will stop and continue the next day. But other parts of Nigeria election will go on. Unless as a country we stand on our feet to say that this democracy has come to remain, these unknown forces and known forces in collaboration with unknown forces will determine the direction of our election. So I call upon the president not to be cowed by any call for the postponement of the election. These people want to destroy his legacy. Wherever they are coming from, elections are to be conducted as and when due. The situation on ground has suggested. Let them not put pressure on the chairman of INEC. We're hearing that law enforcement, they are putting pressure on him to tell the president that INEC is not prepared. We know INEC said they are prepared. We know Central Bank said they are prepared. We know the security forces have said they are prepared. Nothing at all should deter us from that. The second point, Dr. Bati, you raised is about
the four political parties that got an injunction. Are they with the PDP? Will the PDP also join the case?
Now, the political parties that have gone to court, if you know, since 1999 till today, political parties have always been going to court. These political parties that have gone to court, they are smaller parties. They probably do not have the base to raise the funds to execute the election. And they believe that their best chances will better be served if the election is free and fair and devoid of vote buying. Because it is when vote buying comes into play that smaller political parties are disenfranchised or voted out unjustly. And so they going to those courts, they didn't need the PDP's consent. And if PDP wants to go to court, PDP can go to court. As is presently constituted, everybody knows that PDP is just waiting for the D-Day. We have communicated enough our manifesto and intention to the Nigerian people. Nigerian people are tired of APC, and the other alternatives cannot match PDP. So anything that happens, even if mosquito bite them in their houses now, I'm telling you, APC will say PDP send them. If they open their door and they see the wind blowing, they will say it is PDP that sent it to them. Because anthropophobia means it's a condition that is triggered by the fear of the masses backlash because of poor and bad governance in the country. Well, this idea of Baba Sokwe politics, let me tell you this about Baba Sokwe. The idea that one person somewhere has demonstrated that in his state, where everything else is done in that state as his wishes. Baba Sokwe, Baba. So they now want to make it Nigeria Sokwe. Somebody in APC will say, this is how I want it. You saw in their rally now, he said, we install them there, we will take them out, we will get it there. And so the money is not everything. There is a time people come to a point where they look at your money and they don't give a damn about your money because it's all about their lives and their freedom.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel Bwala. I see you are working very hard on your Yoruba. The other day, I saw you in a video saying Kokoro Tunje for. But that's fine.
Kokoro Tunje for Inwe for Luwa. That's what is happening to them right now. The insect that is killing the plant is in the plant.
Okay, thank you, Daniel Bwala. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Honorable Musa Sakin Ada, National Assembly member representing Gadagoroyo Federal Constituency of Sokoto State. He's also chairman, House Committee on Petroleum Upstream. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The state of Nigeria has tested our strength, our patience, and our endurance. But we keep our hopes alive because we know that a better Nigeria is achievable with a safe vote. 2023, the year we have been waiting for, has come. It is now time to break free from the 7-year-long sickness that has troubled Nigeria. It is time to choose to recover so we can heal our land, secure our people, mend our economy, access abundant jobs, strengthen the Naira, and reclaim glory as a true giant of Africa. 2023 is the year to recover Nigeria. Vote PDP.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Hey, Iskilu, báwo la ti fẹ́ sanwó ni? Farabalẹ̀. 1,000. We go wash plate tire o. Farabalẹ̀ now.
Madam, èló lówó wa?
Brother, na 3,005.
Màá fún yín ní owó òpè káàdì Glo ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún 10,000.
Oh yeah.
Bring your phone.
Ha! 10,000.
1,000 naira credit. Now you turn to 10,000.
No. All of us don't know about Glo Berekete. Ní ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá nísìnyí.
Ṣé o ti gbọ́? Ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá ló máa gbà lórí iyekíye tó o bá rà sórí ohun ìpè Glo Berekete 10 times rẹ.
I told you. Now what go tell?
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. The World Bank Country Office in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, said that the hardship being faced by Nigerians due to fuel scarcity and the Naira redesign policy could escalate tensions as Africa's largest economy ahead of the elections. On the other hand, concerning fuel scarcity, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Mile Kyari, has assured Nigerians that the lingering fuel scarcity will ease off next week. So joining us now on the show from our Abuja studios to discuss the fuel scarcity in Nigeria amid Naira redesign is Honorable Musa Sakin-Ada, a seasoned politician, National Assembly member, representing Gada Goroyo Gada, Federal Constituency of Sokoto State. He's also the chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Upstream. Good to see you again, Honorable Sakin-Ada. Happy New Year, if we've not said that already to you this year. Honorable Sakin-Ada, what is really happening as regards the fuel scarcity? And why is it that, what role have you played, leading up to the position you hold in the National Assembly as regards ameliorating the challenges? Have you called IPMAN? Have you called Moman? Have you called all the stakeholders to order? Why did this last 5 months, and you, the National Assembly, there is to represent the people's interests, why did this last 5 months in the first place?
Good morning, Rufai.
Morning,
Good morning, Nigerians. I'm glad you have raised these questions, and let me clarify one thing. Upstream and downstream are two distinct different sectors of the petroleum sector. The downstream is the one in charge of all the refined products and their transportation. The upstream has to do with the offshore exploration and crude marketing and so forth and so. However, having been in the parliament and having chaired this committee, I have learned a lot and I know much on this. What we are witnessing now is the outcome of the failure to remove subsidy ab initio from the previous governments up to this government. Subsidy issue has become a nightmare. Every government does not want to remove subsidy, believing that it is helping the masses. At one of our previous sessions here, I said it is not the masses that are being subsidized. Rather, it is you and I, the elites, who owns 2, 3, 4, 5 more cars that have been subsidized. Already there's no subsidy on kerosene. There's no subsidy on diesel. And these are the most important to the common man, which constitute more than 80% of the population of this country. The elites are less than 10%, and they are the ones being subsidized through the petroleum PMS. And the argument that we shall look into here is petroleum is an international commodity. Whether you produce it in your country or you buy it from another country, it's an international commodity. When you produce it and you don't refine it in your country, there's nothing much you can do to control the price, because it is the international market price that dictates whatever comes out of it. For example, now, if the Dangote refinery comes on board, or if any existing modular refinery in Nigeria, as it are of today, if they are to refine any barrel of oil, they are going to calculate it based on international price markup and based on the exchange rate of Naira to dollar. So if as long as you don't have control on this, there's no way you will continue to benefit from the oil you are producing in your country in respect to the issue of subsidy. This subsidy has been an issue over the time. It is most unfortunate, I have to say this clearly. Right from time immemorial, the NNPC became like a cash cow for the elites. So that they are taking advantage of the people. Anytime, whatever they do, they cover it with that they are providing services to Nigerians. As of today, all the refineries that we have, 4 of them, the Kaduna refinery, the Warri refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery, are not functioning. And from time immemorial, all the previous governments, each government will give an ultimatum that in 18 years, they will upturn these refineries to productive capacity, to the highest full capacity. Until today, where we are, all these refineries are shut down. There have been so many arguments, there have been so many clamor that please sell these refineries. They are of no use to Nigeria. Sell them to the private that can come in and take them over and maybe put them into a better functioning. But people will always say, if you sell them, you are selling them to the bourgeoisie, to the capitalist, then you are taking national assets and giving to the few individuals. But here you are. And I'll come back to that one later, because so many of such assets that have been sold in other sectors, for example, in the electricity sector, have not seen any, or Nigeria have not seen any significant difference from when they are owned by the government and when they are transferred to the private hand. So these are the general problems that we are facing. So the shortage of petroleum products in this country, I stand to be corrected, may not end permanently until when, one, either we rejuvenate all the existing refineries, or private sector should be encouraged to come and establish their own refineries like Dangote is doing right now in Lagos, and encourage smaller refineries which are called moderate refinery, where you can refine 5 to 10,000 barrels per day and much more than that. When you have availability, all I'm trying to say is it is only when you are producing locally that you can have availability. Once you are importing, and once we are importing with the Naira exchange rate at so exorbitant rate as of today of 740 Naira to $1, of course, you cannot get fuel at the price that you are trying to say the common man should get, a price of 250 or 290 Naira. At the moment, a liter of petroleum is being sold outside to the black market over 500 Naira. And even if subsidy is removed, that petroleum product per liter will cost between 307 Naira to 350 Naira. And still people are arguing and shouting. I'm not saying people don't have right to complain. This is their country. And they consider this petroleum product as a God blessed to them. God decided to situate Nigeria on the latitude where it is, and blessed with so many mineral deposits beneath the earth, part of which the petroleum product is part of. And until now, the people are suffering to get this fuel. They cannot get it at the time they want. And even when they get it, they have to cry through their nose, which is very unfortunate. It is not a failure of one particular individual or a group of few people. It is a collective failure, a systemic failure for a very long period of time.
All right.
I'm not saying this because of this present government of APC, which I belong to, which I'm part of.
Yes. Has
failed like other people are saying, but because this has come over the time. And let me tell you this, what even worries me more, when President Muhammadu Buhari assumed leadership of this country, the usual queues during the end of their Christmas period, festive periods have vanished. All of a sudden now it has come back. Why? Then there must be some saboteurs. Some people either within the NNPC or outside the NNPC, or people outside or within the government or outside the government are collaborating to bring hardship to people, untold hardship, simply because election is approaching. Whether they like it, election will come and go, and will continue to survive. And whoever is going to be there, I hope is going to be a person that will now look at Nigerians and say, look, this thing must stop. How he does it is a question of another day. But I think I would propose this government should be courageous enough now to remove subsidy once and for all. Whatever consequences it will come up, the government has less than 3 months to go. And those that are around President Muhammadu Buhari has already squandered his goodwill. He have lost it. Whether they want to hear it or they don't want, they have deceived this gentle old man. They have cheated him. The common man brought him by his bare hand, but their bare foot. People tried to go and vote for President Muhammadu Buhari. People donated their money to vote for President Muhammadu Buhari. And now they are thinking that because Buhari is going out and they must dictate who succeeds him, and whoever will succeed him is the person that will be in their own pocket. That will never happen. They are not God.
Honorable Sakinada.
God. So much has happened. No, let me talk, please. You invited me to express my opinion. Please let me talk, please. We are talking for Nigeria. This country is ours. We don't have anywhere to go.
Well,
those that have gotten money, if they think they can leave the country or go anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. I'll remain here. Or Dr. Ruben, let me Dr. Ruben, please let me finish my point. People will understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I know. Just to remind you that this is a question and answer format that we go by. You've been talking for 12 minutes.
I'm answering you. I'm giving you an answer where I started. You didn't allow me to finish. Let me finish, please. For the sake of Nigeria, please. Let's save this country, please. I am an APC candidate. I'm holding a seat already. I'm elected. I'm seeking re-election. That does not mean I shall not voice out my opinion based on what has happened to this country, which you and I are not happy. Or I don't know if you're among those that are happy that President Muhammad is failing so that another government will come out of. No, it's about Nigeria's survival. Whether anybody likes it or not, whoever will succeed President Muhammad Buhari will be determined by God Almighty, not by him. Let everybody go anywhere and whatever he thinks he could do. Another government will come. And those that are part of this government will never be part of it. Let them stop deceiving themselves. That they are going every night, meeting here, meeting there, meeting with all sorts of people that we give you something to London. When you come, carry us along. They will not carry you along. You are deceiving yourselves. Your time is off. You have had bad time. If you want to be carried along, be good to people. If you are even outside of government, if you have helped people, if you do your right thing,
Honorable
you don't have to fear anything.
We need to ask more questions.
You don't have to fear anything.
Yes, we hear you. We hear you. Thank you very much. But we need to ask you a few more questions because there are a few areas that you would like for you to address whilst you're here. You've said a lot of things, and you talked about the saboteurs. You started off with fuel subsidy, and then ended, in your conversation, you talked about saboteurs. Nigerians are talking about the hoarding being the reason for this scarcity, beyond the bigger issue around refineries and, the cost of refined products, bringing it in. But beyond that is this matter you talked about in terms of saboteurs. That's what we want to really push in. You're saying you don't want to mention names, you don't want to talk about it, but this is critical because for this particular fuel scarcity, NNPCL is saying that we are supplying. In the last week, they said they supplied 450 liters of petrol, but we are not seeing it. The queues are still on the road, So what is so talk about these saboteurs and how can this be addressed? Because at the end of the day, it's the Nigerian people that suffer.
Okay. I'm not here to blame anybody unnecessarily, and I'm not here to defend anybody as such as well. My concern is how do we bring in ease of life to the generality of the people. I am part of them. Right before I came here, my driver went to join the queue as early as 6 a.m. I was fortunate he got to it in less than 3 hours. Others are sleeping in the queue. So the question here is, over the time, measures are being adopted, measures are being put in place, but yet the problem persists. So the NNPC top management, especially those in the downstream, should now think outside of their box. Where is really this problem? You are supplying so much, and to your belief, what you are supplying is much more than what is needed. Then how come the shortage? That's a very good question. Where are all our security agencies? Where are all our regulatory agencies? We have so many regulatory agencies, from the Consumer Protection Council to the upstream and downstream and midstream regulatory authority, which was former DPR. Where are they? And where are all the other civil societies that will go and start marching? See, whenever there's a policy derail, why can't they come out now? They don't have to demonstrate, but they can come and boast out and even go and meet the government. Let them go and talk to the president. He's the Minister of Petroleum. And tell him, look, the people you have assigned to do this role have failed. What are you going to do? When you came on from the beginning, like I said, you did well. Fuel queues vanished. Why is it now resurfacing now? Why is it resurfacing? Like I've said earlier, there must be saboteurs. And that saboteurs could be everywhere. It could be from those that are supplying it. It could be from those that are selling it. It could be from those that are transporting it. But we cannot say this is perennial problem can not be solved. It's an issue that can be tackled. Unfortunately, this is always a case with Nigeria, which people call Nigerian factor, which I don't believe into. That at any time you see a problem that can be solved within 2-3 days will linger for over years. All the top management of the NNPC, supply chain management, in the downstream sector, what are they doing? You always go have meetings with these sectors, with this group, with that. You go outside the country, attending meetings all over. Yet, a particular problem is yet to be overcome. How come?
Anyway.
People go into the space and come back alive. People cut somebody's heart,
so,
stitch it, and that person survives.
Going back
you
to my
are having a
question.
problem here, you cannot solve it. What's the problem?
Honorable Sakin Ada, going back to my question.
Go ahead.
I know you've explained, but we want to know, can you name the saboteurs? Because this is critical to Nigeria's security. Who are these saboteurs? I believe that the Nigerian people deserve to know.
I cannot mention the name of, say, Dr. Ruben or Hussein or you, EJK, no. The saboteurs are those that are given the trust on behalf of this country to run this particular sector.
Would you, the president?
And there are many, like I've said.
The president?
Yes, I'm giving, it's a wide sector. Yes, from the president down to the
So
bottom.
the president?
From him.
The NNPC?
He's elected. Yes, the president should first. The president should first ask the question. You guys, I've given you demanded. Every memo you brought, I approved it. What is happening? Why is this oil queue not ending? Why? He should be able to ask that question. But he will not be allowed by the cohorts around him.
Who are these cohorts around him? Who are they?
And the NNPC, look, let me finish. Then the NNPC management, the GMD should now call his own staff. Look, gentlemen, we have so much liters of, millions of liters of fuel we have supplied. Why is it that it doesn't reach to the common man? Where is it going? Then the custom boss should be asked if the smuggling is what is causing this. Where are your people that you have promoted recently, that you have appointed over the time? You have recruited over 6,000 staff. Before you say you are understaffed, now you have gotten adequate staff. Why is it that fuel is still being smuggled out of this country? There are so many people involved. You and I are involved are part of this. Because if you don't buy at exorbitant rate, if you can decide to direct to your office, of course, if you have a patient, you cannot carry your patient on your lap. You have to use a car and you can buy fuel at any cost. But those that are using luxury cars, you pull up all your tankers and keep at your garage, waiting for nothing. You are encouraging the saboteurs to continue. Because if nobody buys, then the fuel must be available. And I doubt the number or the quantity that is being supplied, that is being called, if really it is being supplied fast. And if it is actually supplied, the NNPC should be able to sanction the filling stations. They have the power. They can sanction them. If we supply you with 2 million liters, we know how many cars it can fill in the tank, and we know how many hours it can last. So we cannot give you 2 million liters today, and tomorrow we come and we find empty tanks there. That means there's diversion, which means more than 50% of that is diverted to other areas, to outside this country. There are so many things that need to be done. It's a collective responsibility. Like what I have said, it's a collective failure. It is not only one segment.
Honorable Ada, let's discuss another major subject.
Yes, sir.
That is on our list, which is the scarcity of the new Naira notes and the tension that we have seen across the country. Protests, people now going to ATM spots with mattresses and cooking gas, and people sleeping in front of banks, bankers escaping, through the fence and running away, some of them not even opening their branches. And this fear that this could affect, the general elections. Although the CBN governor has said INEC should not worry, that money that INEC needs will be made available, just as the managing director of the group managing director of NNPC Limited has said from next week, the fuel scarcity will ease off, even if there will still be queues, but that arrangements have been made and Nigerians should just be pitching. So next week, your driver may not have to spend 3 hours at the fuel station. But I want you specifically to comment on this Naira palaver, the new Naira note debacle.
The new Naira palaver, in one of my appearances before you here, I told you I supported the Naira redesign policy which was introduced by the CBN governor, believing it was going to, one, strengthen the Naira against the dollar, and two, it will also overcome the problems of ransom paying when kidnappers kidnap any victim of theirs and they will ask for money. If there's no cash, then of course they will be out of supply of their arms, and they will be out of supply of information by the informants, and outside it will reduce. That was my assumption then. Now that I'm seeing the consequences that untold hardship are being applied to majority of Nigerians, including myself. I am from a village. I live with my brothers in the village. I know how they are suffering, and they are farmers, fully agrarian farmers, that they rely on their farm produce to live their life. By when they sell their onions, I've told you we are the largest producer of onion in this country, Gada local government and Goranyo, the largest producer of garlic. So now, many of them have no bank accounts. They are now forced to sell their products at a very lower rate, almost more than 40% discounted, which is very sad, after they bought the seeds, the fertilizer, and the fuel to pump their generators at a very higher expected rate. Now the harvesting people have started coming up. Instead of them to smile, they are now crying because there's no cash to pay. However, the policy was said to have been intended for good, but midway, some people sandwiched it and brought in their internal, their interests, targeting certain particular individuals in this country. My concern is not about election. Election will come and go. Naira or no Naira, election will come and go. Or a new government will come and go after May 29. And that government will not be and could not be an ING. It must be a duly electorate government by Nigerians, whoever they elect among the presidential aspirants, and whoever they elected among the governorship and the National Assembly members. That's another thing. The most important thing is those people that are entrusted with this thing, from the CV and governor to whoever that cares to listen, please, they should have fear of God. If they actually believe in the faith they profess as Muslims or Christians, if they actually believe that God exists, that they go to Friday or Sunday to worship every day, and they always call and swear by, if they actually believe, please, they should have empathy on the masses of this country.
Well, Honorable,
really suffering.
Honorable, if I may...
Now imagine, let me put this up.
No, there's a breaking news. There's breaking news, which may be relevant to your comment. And this has to do with this Naira issue. And it's as follows. The Supreme Court on Wednesday temporarily halted the move by the federal government to ban the use of the old Naira notes from February 10, 2023. A 7-member panel led by Justice John Okoro halted the move of the federal government in a ruling in an ex parte application brought by 3 northern states of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara. The 3 states are specifically applied for an order of interim injunction restraining the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria or the commercial banks from suspending or determining or ending on February 10, 2023, the time frame with which the now older versions of the 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira denominations of the Naira may no longer be legal tender, pending the hearing and determination of their motion on notice for interlocutory injunction. While he referred to a Central Bank of Nigeria statistics, we put the number of people who don't have bank accounts at over 60%. Mustafa lamented that a few Nigerians with bank accounts can't even access their monies from the bank as a result of the policy. So that's the detail, Honorable Sakinada, which I thought may be relevant to you. Honorable, are you still there?
Good breaking news. God have answered our prayers, God have prevailed, and God have shown those that don't want anything good for this country that is in charge. So this should be a lesson to them. They should go and repent, and they should apologize to Nigerians. And God is wonderful, and God is merciful, and God is miracle, and He has done it for us. And I thank God, I thank God, I thank God for this. Okay. So let's move on.
And we thank you.
I don't have any much to say with this.
And we thank you too for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you very much, Honorable Musa Sakinada. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Ojinika Ukwe will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So, it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years, from loss of habitat and prey, and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business with Vault. Vault is the answer. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Yeah. Vault is the answer. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business with Vault. By Polaris Bank.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer. Esther, you're late again. Esther?
She's a wonder, a light in the darkness. She's beautiful. Oh, she's a superstar.
Morning, Esther.
She never let her mama down. She's beautiful. She know the fear. She know they ever got a hand for them.
No phones at the table, please. Esther? I love you too.
Got everything? Don't forget I'll pick you at 4.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Haruna, Bisi, Akman, Unduka, how will I want to do on election day?
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote to, I broom I go put my hand for Tinubu. On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote to, I broom I go put my hand for Tinubu.
People of Nigeria, make we all come out on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president. Make Nigeria for better. Make you put your hand for APC, the party where show broom. Not forget now broom you go put your hand in. Bam!
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote to, I broom I go put my hand for Tinubu.
I can't believe it's been 10 years already. But in that very short time, Arise News has covered some of the biggest global events around the world. And I'm fortunate to say that I've been involved in a number of them, including, of course, the insurrection that took place right behind me at this building that brought America to its knees. But in addition to that, we've also covered some of the biggest stories, including the transitions of U.S. presidents, as well as other massive, major global events that have occurred around the world. And we've done them right here at Arise News. And I'm so happy to say that I've been a part of them. And I look forward to being a part of Arise News, its growth, its change, and of course, its coverage over the next 10 years.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Ojinika Ojiope with stories trending around the world. Hello, Junix.
Buongiorno. Good morning. How are you? How are you, Dr. Abati? Good morning, Ayo. How are you? You got that right. Good morning, Rufai.
Buongiorno, Italiano.
That's how I'm feeling today.
Buongiorno.
Good morning. How's it going? Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In Turkey and Syria, the death toll from the devastating earthquake that tore through both countries on Monday climbed above 7,700 and is expected to rise further as rescuers raced against time early Wednesday to pull survivors from the rubble before they succumbed to cold weather. The last 2 days have brought dramatic rescues, including small children emerging from mounds of debris, more than 30 hours after Monday's pre-dawn quake. In the United States, President Joe Biden exhorted Congress on Tuesday night to work with him to finish the job of rebuilding the economy and uniting the nation as he delivered a State of the Union address aimed at reassuring a country besieged by pessimism and fraught political divisions. In his 73-minute speech, Biden sought to portray a nation dramatically improved from the one he took charge of in 2021.
And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
In Nigeria, protesters trooped out in their numbers in several states across the country over the scarcity of fuel and new Naira notes. The protests were witnessed in Akwa Ibom, Delta, Ondo, Oyo, Kwara, and Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, where the protesters were seen vandalizing a bank, burning tires, and barricading roads, resulting in traffic gridlock. A young man was shot as police tried to disperse the crowd. Graphic footage showing the protesters calling for help while drenched in blood from the gunshot wound went viral. Under sports, Turkish goalkeeper Ahmet Eyüp Torkaslan lost his life in the 7.8 magnitude earthquake that ripped through southern Turkey on Monday. The 28-year-old goalkeeper, who is survived by his wife, played 6 times for Turkish second division club Yeni Malatyaspor after joining in 2021. Torkaslan died after being trapped under rubble for more than 24 hours. Finally, basketball legend LeBron James became NBA's all-time leading scorer on Tuesday in the Los Angeles Lakers game against Oklahoma City Thunder, surpassing the historic record that 6-time NBA MVP Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held for 39 years. The 38-year-old Lakers forward, who is a 4-time NBA champion, a 4-time MVP, and a 4-time Finals MVP, finished with 38 points in the Lakers' 133-130 loss, achieving the record-breaking feat in his 20th season.
You are the NBA's all-time scoring leader.
Congratulations, LeBron James.
LeBron, King James.
Right. Let's begin what's trending. Following protests over the scarcity of fuel and redesigned Naira notes across some states, governors are putting in measures to curb more disruptions. In Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai called on citizens not to carry any form of protest over the scarcity of the redesigned notes. He met with the leadership of the Kaduna State Market Traders Association and took the opportunity to criticize the timeline of the CBN policy, stating that the ensuing crisis is inciting the people against the APC-led government.
I had advance intelligence that protests will start in Kaduna tomorrow, Wednesday. This is why I'm here. Okay. I'm here to speak to you as leaders of our markets and our traders, to explain to you what the real agenda is and to try to propose some solutions that we have thought about. We have done the best we can, but all the information available to us point to the fact that this was intentionally designed at this time to cause a major disruption in the lives of people, to bring commercial transactions to a halt, and ensure that the elections don't even take place. Some people want an interim national government. Those that hope that there will be elections are banking on the fact that by introducing new measures that will anger voters, people will stay at home or refuse to vote, or vote for the opposition, blaming the APC for the hardship that is being caused. I'm appealing to all of you not to join the protests or engage in any violence. Let us know who our enemy is. Our enemy is not us. Our enemy are those fifth columnists in the villa.
Well, in another development, the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, stirred up a new wave of controversy on social media after stating that those behind the annulment of the June 12 presidential election in 1993 are seeking to scuttle the forthcoming elections with the Naira redesign policy. The governor was reacting to a high court judgment that temporarily restricted the Central Bank of Nigeria from extending the deadline for the use of old Naira notes. A statement released by the state's Commissioner for Information quoted Ganduje as saying, "Those who secured the interim injunction are using the court to impose hardship on Nigerians. The group's latest attempt is camouflaging in unknown political parties through the use of legal instruments to further impose unfeasible cash policy that is taking its toll on the masses in the country. The unknown political parties are also allegedly colluding with the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, to execute this fiendish scheme." Well, let's take some reactions. This is from King, who wrote, "That court suit stopping the federal government from giving an extension of the February 10th deadline for old Naira notes is a typical play from the June 12 books. This was how Arthur Nzeribe worked to thwart the historical election won by MKO Abiola just because IBB's candidate NRC's TOFA lost." Well, Salihu wrote, "This is what many people see as the reason IBB became jittery after the elections, hence the June 12 annulment. Shehu Yaradua couldn't forgive MKO Abiola even when Atiku pleaded with Shehu that they should move on. Tinubu has same blueprint betrayal template." Well, Shola wrote, "With 24 years of democratic practice and 8 years of ex-opposition party in power, politicians are still claiming that the taskmasters behind the June 12 annulment are still active after 30 years. This is a serious problem to Nigeria's democracy." Rufai.
That's not true. politicians to stop blowing dog whistle. And you see, these are their games. They link it to an event that still have emotional sentiments with people to be able to buy in the sentiment. There is no relation to what happened. What happened in June 12th was separate, was different. Because what also politicians would do, they would twist history to be able to suit their narrative, which is a lie. It's not people that were behind June 12th. It's got nothing to do. The circumstances of June 12th was separate. Then there was an incumbent military government on ground. Now we've had successive democratic transitions. In June 12th, we're just transitioning to democracy for the first time after a long interregnum, after it was thwarted in '83. So it was 10 years after we're just come back to democracy. But now we've had successive 23 to 24 years uninterrupted change of power. So politicians should not lie to you. These are the facts of the matter. The CBN put in a policy, because I can see some of them being triumphant here. They've gotten a Supreme Court judgment. But the CBN put in a policy to be able to curb the menace in the economy that these same politicians caused themselves. When did the naira to the dollar go up? Was it after party primaries that politicians mopped up a lot of dollars? Wasn't a bank seen with over 258 million naira being stored, not released to the ATM machines because the money has been stored to politicians? Do politicians think that Nigerians don't see them when they drive to banks in the back and they give them big Ghana must go lumps? Isn't the ICPC investigating a couple of banks as regards to sabotage? So the case is different. We know the history. Somebody should not come and tie June 12th to it. Governor El-Rufai, yes, I'm happy he said keep for calm. But he was also part of those that took the president to court. We should never forget that the CBN is independent in the first place, and it has the right to make monetary policy. If it's making policies to be able to curb the same failures of the APC government, because now they blame everything on saboteurs. So it was the same saboteurs that made First Casting go on for over 5 months. When it started, why didn't they end it 1 month, 2 months ago? It's the same saboteurs that made it go on. Now a policy has been put in place that ample time was given. We all know how many months they launched the currency. They launched the new currency. As of December, they started putting the new currency in circulation. And they gave a 1 month timeline. It was supposed to end at the end of January. But guess what happened? They still went to the presidency and increased it. But now they're not going to the Supreme Court because it favors them. They keep saying it's because of the hardship meted out on Nigerians. The question we should ask is it Nigerians that are going to take those billions from the banks? How much are Nigerians withdrawing? The CBN said in recent times that in Edo State alone it's sent over $1 billion. How much should Nigerians withdraw? They keep making the argument that over 60% of Nigerians don't have bank accounts. I also ask you, over 98% of Nigerians don't have up to 500,000 naira in their bank accounts. So it's Nigerians that are withdrawing over 100 to 150,000 naira a day, Abi? Do Nigerians withdraw up to that? See, if we want this country to work, we must set it on the path of integrity, Oji. Politicians should stop this shenanigan. They've gotten what they wanted, they've gone to the Supreme Court and all of that. But the question is, it is the will of the Nigerian people that will mostly prevail. It's not going to dampen the fact that the APC government has given a lot of hardship to the people. As at when we returned to, APC government came in 2015, dollar to naira was 200. Now it is going to 800, over 600 naira difference. People are more in poverty. 133 million people living in abject poverty. Those are the numbers on ground. So politicians should stop their shenanigan and stop referring to June 12th because it's a dog whistle. And they know what they are doing when they refer to June 12th.
All right, Dr. Abati, I know you just read out that Supreme Court judgment. I don't know how that whole thing plays out.
The Supreme Court granting
the
ex parte motion taken before it by 3 plaintiffs, the governments of Kaduna State, Kogi State, and Zamfara State. And the reason that is so is that, the states decided to invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in matters between states and the federal government. You take it to the Supreme Court. Now, the court has now granted an interim injunction. People should note that. 3, the case has now been adjourned till February 15. And the court has also ruled that the status quo should be, maintained until the motion on notice is heard. So naturally, yes, you'll find APC people, jubilating that this is what the court has has said. But the court has not decided yet. There are three major issues. When this matter first came up, we said, yes, the states can go to the Supreme Court to invoke original jurisdiction, but they have to demonstrate the damage that they have suffered. And one of the issues that the plaintiffs presented before the Supreme Court is that, one, the people in their states are suffering as a result of the scarcity of these new notes. Two, they also argue that even these new notes are not available, so people cannot even access them, okay? Number three, they say that the 10-day extension offered by the federal government till February 10 and the extension till February 17 is inadequate for people to have access. So the court now ruled in this particular case that, look, for now, this is an interim injunction. We'll look at the matter. Now, the apex court, the Supreme Court being the apex court, is the highest in the hierarchy of courts in Nigeria. Well, that's the position of the apex court right at this moment. The question you may now ask is that what is the implication of this for the other matter instituted by the 4 political parties against the CBN, the federal government, and 27 commercial banks, that there must be no further extension. Well, that's a high court.
High court, yeah.
A high court under the hierarchy of courts cannot be superior to the Supreme Court. But, those who are jubilating, well, maybe they shouldn't jubilate yet. Because what has happened is that the apex court has, given expeditious hearing, maybe in the interest of public policy, maybe also, performing its function, the judex, the courts, as social modulator. In times of crisis, if there's going to be chaos, the courts can also act as social modulators in society. But we've not seen the end of it yet, and we'll see how it plays out. What this now means, whatever the court decides at the end of the day, is that the security agencies, the agents of the political parties, INEC itself, will have to do a lot to ensure that there is no vote buying. Because all the fears being expressed by people is that, some political parties, some Ganduje refers to as unknown political parties. There's no such thing as unknown political parties. In this election, we have 18 political parties, and they are properly listed.
Exactly.
By INEC. So to dismiss any political party as unknown is presumptuous. So that is a part of it. So you have to be vigilant. The voter themselves, they have to defend their votes, and they have to make an informed choice. Don't allow any politician to buy you, because this is what this is all about. And the security agencies must do their work. In some of the reports that I have seen, the Supreme Court even went a step further, that, the courts will descend heavily on anybody that is seen abusing the Naira. We keep saying it, that the abuse of the Naira is a felony. So don't go about spraying the Naira, giving it out as if you are spraying confetti at an event. No. So maybe one of the gains of all of this process is that part of our law, I once said that Section 21 of the CBN Act was beginning to behave like a dead law, like the law on bigamy, But to see that law will be tested in the face of the present circumstances would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Dr. Bati. Ayo.
All right, just very quickly, just revisiting the issue around why the 3 governors went to the Supreme Court, citing, amongst others, the plight of their people, that people were suffering and they were seeking the court to extend the date of the deadline of the swap, of the cash swap. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled, so that it's done in that way until February 15, when they would adjourn, when they would reconvene to look at the details of the matter. The only thing I'll just say to this, to the governors and those who have agitated against the deadline, that I hope that with this vigor, they will take on the other issues that plague their people beyond the redesigning. And Governor Emefiele actually predicted this. In December, when he went to see the president in Daura, he did say that a number of times when they've tried to introduce policies like this, governors and Nigerians had kicked against it, but that this time there was no going back. Unfortunately, it looks like there's been more postponement and postponement, despite the merits of this policy. Nigerians are still watching. I hope that people will begin to see that when it serves the interests of, people or politicians, they can act. So can we begin to take them to task for other issues that are plaguing Nigerians? I'm glad that with the fuel scarcity, they've talked about next week being, it's easy enough next week we'll be watching. And I'm looking forward to, like we've talked about a number of times, other issues of importance being taken this very seriously.
Yeah, well, I hope that this whole, situation will calm down a lot of the tension that we witnessed yesterday. As you heard in my headline, there was protest.
Which is sad.
In several states.
Very sad.
In Akwa Ibom, Delta, Oyo, I sent you all that advisory.
Which is
and that
sad.
young man, if you could pull up that video, who was shot.
It's graphic.
It's not graphic. I have blood, obviously.
Good.
The protests all over. We have to talk about it because it's so important that, people understand that this is for the good of Nigeria and everyone should just stay calm. I don't know if you saw that video of that young man.
I saw it, and that's why I keep begging, please, Nigerians, please stay calm. Do not die in their war. We beg you. Please. It is very sad the way the young man was shot. And please, police should have a way to curb protests rather than shooting live bullets. But I just want to say this real quickly, Oji.
Mm-hmm.
These same people that could hoard COVID-19 palliatives, that couldn't give the same citizens they claim they care about now, ordinary Indomie, are the ones now that are quick to go to court saying they care about the citizens. These same politicians that couldn't give Nigerians ordinary Indomie COVID-19 palliative.
All right. All right then. Well, let's end what's trending on a lighter note. With this video showing the 13-member band of the United States Navy playing for students at the University of Lagos to support the ongoing 2023 Urban Game Express, which is the largest multinational maritime exercise in Western and Central Africa. The naval officers played an instrumental rendition of Arya Star's Rush. Let's take a look. What can I say? Nigerian music to the world. I thought that was so beautiful. Rufai, you were saying you've interviewed some of them.
They normally always come like that. And Urban Game is one of the biggest, maritime, exchange programs and all of that. And I've even gotten a chance to interview some of the members of the band a couple of years ago when they came. They jam to very good Nigerian music, and it's just, it's just America selling its own, self to the people and deepening relationship, and soft power.
I love it. Well, all right. Thank you all for your great analysis. I don't know if you wanted to say something quickly.
Well, no.
Yes, all right.
No
well,
time. The
thank
producers
you all,
are already
as
saying
always.
we're overrunning.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, thank you. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rotus Odiri will be here next to take you through Global Business Report. Stay with us. He's still the Arise News Channel.